Hi guys, it's me, Professor D. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. On this video, we're going to be learning about personality disorders, obsessive compulsive, antisocial, borderline, dependent, schizotypal, you name it. Now, before we get started, as always, I'm going to ask you to please support me and support this channel. Like this video. Press that red notification bell so you'll be notified every single time a new video is released, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Don't forget, I'm now offering next generation NCLEX review and also one-on-one, whether it's a consultation, whether it's a tutoring session, whatever it is, I'm offering on my website. You can book now, and also you can get audio lesson again, nexusnursinginstitute.com. All right, guys, let's get started. Personality disorders. Select all that applies. Every type of personality disorder has problems in work and personal relationships because select all that apply. Is it because they're insensitive to the needs of others? They do not trust other people. They lack individual accountability. They're patient and understanding. They tend to have passive aggressive traits. They tend to blur personal boundaries. What are the reasons that people with personality disorders have so many problems in the workplace and in their personal relationships? What are those reasons? Select all that applies. Recording. Sorry. Okay, everything's correct except for green. Everything's correct except for they are patient and understanding. They are not patient and understanding. The reason why they have so many problems in their work and personal relationships is because they blur boundaries. They don't have any boundaries. They're not sensitive to the needs of others. They don't trust anyone but themselves, and they don't hold themselves accountable for their behavior. It's everybody else's problem, not theirs. This patient is smart and manipulative. They are social chameleons, and they become aggressive when they don't get their way. Who are we talking about? Is it someone with borderline personality disorder? Is it someone with narcissistic personality disorder? Is it someone with antisocial personality disorder? Or is it someone with obsessive compulsive disorder? They're smart, they're manipulative, and they are social chameleons. They become aggressive when they don't get their way. You guys said narcissistic, antisocial. Antisocial. And I know what you're thinking, because whenever you hear people talk about antisocial personalities, they always talk about it, oh, they don't like being around people. But no, clinically speaking, when we're talking about people with antisocial personality disorders, they love being around people. They are social chameleons, and this is what should have given it away. Social chameleon. What is a chameleon? A chameleon will change its color to kind of blend in, right? So let me tell you about the people with antisocial personality disorders. They are con artists. They know how to read people, and they know how to con people to get what they want. So whether they're conning you to get sexual favors or money, or maybe they want you to sign over the deed to the house, they will pretend to love you. They will pretend to be a fan. They will pretend to be whoever it is that they know you need them to be in order to con you out of whatever it is that they need. So the way you guys hear them talk about antisocial personality disorder, when we're speaking about this type of person clinically, no, they love being around people, because that's how they can manipulate people. That's how they can turn into whoever they need to turn in, so they can use you. And once they don't get their way, they become aggressive. The person with antisocial personality, they feel like once they've conned you, they don't feel guilty about it, because they feel like you deserved it. You were dumb enough that you didn't fall for it, so you deserve to be conned. They don't feel bad about it. Now, I can see how many of you guys chose narcissistic, because most people who are narcissistic, they are also antisocial. They have antisocial tendencies. Okay. But here's a big difference. People who are narcissistic, they don't have to turn into social chameleons where they try to get what they want, where the person with antisocial personality absolutely does. Okay. But narcissistic, not necessarily. Yes, they are manipulative. But and another thing with the antisocial personality, they are very, very smart. That's the only way that they're able to turn into that social chameleon and to con the person, whoever they're conning. True or false? People with antisocial personality disorder prefer to be alone and they avoid any social settings. Is that true or is that false? Guys, I'm recording. Very good. False. People who are the word antisocial really will distract you. Patients with antisocial personality disorders, they love being around people. That's where they find their victims. Which personality disorder exhibits low self esteem, impulsivity, suicidal gestures, and splitting behaviors? Is it schizotypal, avoidant, borderline, or obsessive compulsive? And just so you know what splitting behaviors is, that means when you're doing whatever it is that they want you to do, you're the best person in the world. But the minute you don't do what they want you to do, or they feel like you're going against them, you all of a sudden went from the best person in the world to the worst person in the world. There is no in between. They don't see the good and the bad in people. You're either wonderful or you're horrible. And most of you guys got it correct. Is borderline personality disorder. Now, the key that should have led you to borderline and not anything else is splitting behaviors. You tend to see the splitting behaviors in the person with borderline personality disorder. True or false? Patients with borderline personality disorders are very dependent on others and they have an intense fear of being alone. Is that true or is that false? True. Their biggest fear is being alone, the partner leaving them. They have such low self-esteem, they get jealous very easily. And so you'll see the person who has borderline personality disorder, they've only been dating someone for a few weeks. If the person breaks up with them, they'll want to kill themselves, but next week they're on to another person. Select all that applies. What are the characteristics of avoidant personality disorder? Select all that apply. They love to be in social settings. They have feelings of inadequacy. They're hypersensitive to rejection or ridicule. They have low self esteem. They have high self esteem. They long for personal relationships. What are the characteristics you think would be attributed to the person with avoidant personality disorder? Select all that applies. You guys are doing great on the live. Okay, so let's talk about this. The patient with avoidant personality disorder, they avoid being in social settings. They avoid being around people. Why? They want to avoid being embarrassed. Okay, so they don't want to be in social settings. They have an intense fear of being embarrassed, of being ashamed, of being humiliated. They have feelings of inadequacy. That's why they have low self esteem. They're hypersensitive to rejection or ridicule. You say one tiny little thing and they'll crawl, they'll just crumble. They have low self-esteem and they long for personal relationships, but they're scared to get close to anybody because they're so afraid of rejection. Which personality type tends to be unusually clinging while claiming to be independent? Is it avoidant? Is it dependent? Is it borderline or is it obsessive compulsive? Yep, it's dependent. They are so afraid of being separated from their partner or the person that they're with, because remember, their self-esteem is so low, they're so afraid of the person dumping them. So the person, you have to go to the bathroom, they want to be right there going to the bathroom with you. You got to go to work, they want to go to work with you. They are very clingy, but at the same time where they're being clingy and they won't let you have a moment's peace to yourself, they claim that they're independent. Patients with obsessive compulsive personality feel that they have a lack in what? Is it a lack in self-esteem, a lack in control, a lack in relationships, or a lack in anxiety? The person with obsessive compulsive personality, what are they lacking? Good, control. That's why they feel like there's no control on the inside, right? So they have to control everything in the outside. That's why they have, organized lists and organized rules, and they're very rigid. They're inflexible. They refuse to make any changes. They feel they have to have that what? That control. Select all that applies. Key features of obsessive compulsive disorder include, select all that applies, attempts to control others and their environment, preoccupied with lists, rules, details, and orders, rigid, inflexible, they're stubborn, they're unruly and untidy, they're unbending towards change, they embrace change. Select all that applies for the obsessive compulsive personality disorder. What are you going to choose? Okay. So they attempt to control others in their environment. Absolutely. That's what they feel they're lacking, a sense of control. That's why they're trying to control everything else. They're very preoccupied with a list, rules, details, orders. They are rigid and inflexible. They refuse any type of change. They are unbending towards change. Okay. They're not unruly or untidy. They are very tidy. They are very neat. Everything is organized, and they do not embrace change. They will fight change tooth and nail. Patients with this type of personality is odd. They have interpersonal deficits and they tend to be socially isolated. Is it narcissistic personality, avoidant personality, schizotypal personality, or borderline? They have odd beliefs. Okay, guys, if you saw the picture, you will see the answer. So, we have schizotypal. Okay, they have very odd beliefs. They don't like to be in social settings, and they're usually only like friendly with family members that know them well. Other people will describe them as, and I'm not saying this is how they are, I'm just telling you how they would be typically be described by others, as being weird. Who's more likely to be impulsive, to cut themselves, have attention seeking behavior, self mutilate, and cope ineffectively? Who's more likely? Borderline personality, avoidant personality, antisocial personality, or schizotypal personality? They don't think about their actions before they do it. They're very compulsive. They tend to cut themselves. They have attention seeking behavior. They have ineffective coping skills. Borderline. The person with borderline personality disorders, very often when they die of suicide, the suicide was accidental. What happens, remember how I told you they have the attention-seeking behaviors? What they'll do is, for example, if they think the boyfriend's going to break up with them and they know the boyfriend comes home at a certain time, they'll time it where they'll ingest a bottle of pills so the boyfriend will find them in the bed, call 911, feel guilty, and not break up with them. But what happens is, what if the boyfriend got in a car accident or he had to stay late from work, so nobody was there to save them in time? So a lot of times the patients with borderline personality disorder, when they die from suicide, it wasn't supposed to be a true suicide. They were supposed to be caught in time, but something went wrong and they actually ended up dying. But they tend to be cutters. They'll cut themselves. What happens is, whenever they feel any stress, they don't know how to cope effectively, and so they'll just react. And usually it's self-mutilation or hurting themselves. True or false? Patient safety and teaching effective coping strategies are priority nursing interventions for the patient with borderline personality disorder. Is that the priority, to teach them safety and effective coping strategies? True or false? True. The whole problem with the patient that has borderline personality disorder is that they don't know how to cope with stress at all. So one of the most important things you have to do as a nurse is teach them how to cope with anxiety or with stress effectively, not by hurting themselves, not by suicidal gestures. Pacing, violating the rights of others, denial of personal weaknesses, lack of empathy, and violating the rights of others. Who does that sound like to you? Is it dependent, antisocial, schizotypal, or avoidant? Antisocial. Remember, they're those con men. They're the social chameleons. And the minute they're thwarted, the minute that they don't get their way, and whoever it is that made them not get their way, they're going to have to pay. Okay. In nursing, in psych, when you see that word pacing, be careful. If a patient's pacing, the first thing that needs to go to your mind is safety. They're pacing. That is that body language letting you know that they're either thinking about getting physical or they're about to get physical. Okay. True or false? The priority nursing intervention for antisocial personality disorder is teaching patient safety and consideration of others. Is that true or is that false? True. Because remember, the person with antisocial personality disorder, all they care about is themselves. What can they get out of whoever their victim is? They don't care about anybody else. So part of their treatment, part of their therapy is actually teaching them how to be considerate, how to care about other people's feelings. Select all that applies. What are the characteristics of histrionic personality disorder? Select all that apply. They tend to be a drama queen or a drama king. They have a bold exterior, but low self esteem. They're self centered with low frustration tolerance. They're impulsive, flirtatious, provocative. They have long lasting relationships. They lack insight into the personal role of bad relationships. Okay. Everything except they have long lasting relationships. No, they don't. Their relationships are very short because they're drama queens or drama kings. They make up drama when there is no drama. Even though they act confident, they have very, very low self esteem. They're self centered. They can only view their world through their lens. And they have a low tolerance for frustration. That means anything that causes them any type of anxiety or frustration, and they're off the cliff. They're impulsive, they're flirtatious, they're provocative. What we tend to find is anything that makes them nervous or anxious or frustrated, their first reaction is to be seductive. is to be flirtatious. They use sex as a defense mechanism, okay? And they lack insight into their personal role of failing relationships. So it's always everybody else's fault. It's never their fault. True or false? In the patient with histrionic personality disorder, seductive behavior is a response to stress. Is that true or is that false? True. The minute they're stressed, they'll turn to flirtation or seductive behaviors. True or false? Even though patients with histrionic personality disorder are excitable and dramatic, they tend to be high functioning. Is that true or is that false? It's true. We really don't see patients with histrionic personality disorder in the psych unit unless they have another comorbidity along with it. But if it's just histrionic, they tend to be high functioning. They can keep a job. They can do their activities of daily living without much issues. Now, those who know them definitely will call them drama queens or drama king, but they're still very high functioning. That's true. Okay, guys, I hope you like this video. Please, in the comment section, let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know what you'd like to see me cover next, or to be more detailed, what type of video would you like me to cover? Do you want it to be in a Kahoot? Do you want it to be in a lecture format? Or do you want it to be in a question answer format, such as the videos that I release every Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? Don't forget, guys, almost daily, you can find me covering a variety of nursing topics on my other social media platforms, such as TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, again, I'm now offering next generation NCLEX review sessions. I'm offering one-on-one consultations, one-on-one tutoring sessions, and audio lessons, all on my website. Excuse me, nexusnursinginstitute.com. Thank you so much for watching. You guys will catch me on the next video.